Humans were never supposed to survive in the rainforest. Not for a season, not for a year, not ever. Every textbook said the same thing. Too dark to see danger coming. Too little food to keep a group alive. Too dangerous to build a permanent life in. And yet, buried in the forests of West Africa, researchers just found proof that people did exactly that. Stone tools, burned bone, the remains of fire pits hidden deep under thick tropical soil, some of it dating back more than 150,000 years. This wasn't a group passing through on their way somewhere else. This was a group that stayed for generations, which means somewhere along the way, humans did something scientists didn't think was possible. They didn't just survive the forest. They learned to live in a world with no open sky. To understand how, you have to picture what our ancestors were giving up the moment they stepped past the tree line. On the savannah, everything made sense. You could see the horizon in every direction. You could see the herd you were tracking from half a mile away. You could see a predator approaching long before it reached you. The sky told you the time. The open land told you which way was home. Step past the tree line, and all of that disappears at once. The canopy overhead is so thick that sunlight barely reaches the ground, even at midday. The air feels heavier, wetter, and slower to move through. The ground is no longer flat, dry earth. It becomes a tangle of roots, fallen leaves, and hidden pools of water. Every step risks sinking into mud that swallows footprints as soon as they are made. There is no herd to follow, because there is no herd here at all. The animals early humans had spent hundreds of thousands of years learning to hunt do not live in dense rainforest in any real numbers. There is no open grass for them to feed on, so there is no reason for them to be here. The entire survival strategy that had worked for generations became useless overnight, and the danger did not disappear just because the familiar animals did. It changed shape entirely. Predators here do not announce themselves from a distance. They wait low in the undergrowth, close enough to strike before they are ever seen. Every unexplained sound could mean nothing, or it could mean something had already decided to attack. So why would anyone choose to enter a place like this? The honest answer is, at first, they probably didn't choose to. Populations grow, land becomes scarce, climates shift, and the open plains that once seemed endless begin to dry up or fill with rival groups. When the easy land runs out, the difficult land is what remains. But here is where the story turns. The humans who entered that forest were not simply surviving on desperation and scraps. The evidence tells a different story. It shows tools, it shows fire, it shows generations of continuous presence. Something inside that forest let a small group of humans do what should have been impossible. Survival here did not come from strength. It came from noticing things most people would never think to notice. The first skill was not hunting, it was observation, learning which plants were food and which ones would kill you, sometimes based on differences too small for an untrained eye to catch. Learning that a certain smell in the air meant fresh water was near. Learning that a certain bird call, repeated in a specific pattern, meant a predator was moving somewhere close. None of this could be written down. It had to be passed from person to person, through memory and demonstration alone, which meant every piece of knowledge that kept a group alive was also incredibly fragile. Lose the people who carried it, and it disappeared with them. Fire changed everything here, even more than it had anywhere else. It meant light in a world that barely had any. It meant a boundary predators were less willing to cross. It meant the ability to cook plants that would otherwise be toxic, opening up food sources that were previously unusable. In an environment this hostile, fire was not a convenience. It was the difference between a temporary camp and a lasting home. Shelter had to change too. On open land, humans could see danger coming and react. In the forest, shelter needed to do some of that watching for them. Camps were built against natural barriers, on defensible ground, close to water, but raised above the flooding that reshaped the forest floor. The diet had to be rebuilt almost entirely. Without large herds to hunt, these communities leaned on what the forest actually gave them: fruit, nuts, roots, smaller game, insects, fish pulled from the rivers beneath the canopy. A completely different survival economy from the one their ancestors had relied on for hundreds of thousands of years in the open. This is what makes the discovery so significant. It isn't only proof that humans were physically present in the rainforest 150,000 years ago, it's proof of adaptation, an entire toolkit of behavior and knowledge, built for an environment long assumed to be too hostile for early humans to handle at all. For decades, the story of human evolution was told almost entirely through open landscapes, grasslands, savannas, coastlines. This discovery suggests some of our ancestors' hardest survival tests happened in the exact place the textbooks said they avoided. Picture ancient humans, and the image is almost always the same one taught in school. Figures on an open plain, spears in hand, watching a herd move across a visible horizon. That picture isn't wrong, but it's incomplete. At the same time, in a very different part of the world, other humans were living an entirely different story. No horizon, no herd, no clear sky to read, just pattern recognition in near darkness, and knowledge passed only through memory. What makes this even more remarkable is how close it came to being lost completely. Rainforest soil is brutal on preservation. Wood rots fast. Bone breaks down far quicker here than in dry desert conditions. The same environment that made survival difficult is the reason evidence of it is so hard to find, which means this discovery is very unlikely to be an isolated case. Rainforest survival probably happened in other places for far longer than we can currently prove. The rest of that story may already be gone, dissolved back into the same soil that hid it for 150,000 years. Survival was never one strategy or one landscape. It was many different groups in wildly different environments, each finding their own way to stay alive. The humans who walked into that forest had no idea what they were becoming. They were only trying to make it through the next storm, the next sound in the dark, the next uncertain night. But because they adapted, their descendants inherited a forest most people still assume no human could ever call home. The forest was never empty. It was only waiting for someone patient enough to learn its language,